Thank you so much. It's humbling to have this opportunity to speak to you all today. I will say, Evelyn, I was going to embarrass you, but since you gave such a beautiful introduction, I'll say that of all the titles I have as a captain or as a father or whatever else I do in life, being your father is the title that I hold most dear. So, thank you so much. So, I want to talk to you guys all today a little bit about what Veterans Day means to me, and hopefully you'll come out of it with something of meaning to you. So I was very impressed as you guys actually talked about the history of Veterans Day. I thought I was going to have to explain that, but I'm speaking to an educated audience, so that's great. When we go back to that, it was in 1937 when the Congress first declared November 11th as Armistice Day. And that was a day of healing for a lot of people. That was a day when we had sent, hundreds of thousands of Americans off to war, and we'd been involved in the greatest struggle that the world had ever seen. And to put that in perspective, at the end of World War I, 10 million people had died, and 27 million had been casualties of that war. That's pretty extraordinary to think about that kind of sacrifice, and think about how many people lost their lives. So on that day, Congress decided we needed a day for the American people to put their arms around their veterans and to rededicate us all to the cause of world peace. It was a rejection of fear, it was a rejection of senseless violence, and it was an embrace of a higher idea. That idea was peace. So that's something important to remember. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the Army for 15 years. I've had a few combat tours. I've been an infantryman, which for those of you who have been in the military, those are the guys who probably don't read so well, but we can dig holes and shoot things. So we're pretty valuable. So I've had a few different jobs, and I've had 3 different combat tours. Iraq from 2003 to 2004, Afghanistan as a platoon leader with the 173rd Airborne Brigade from 2009 to 2010, and then most recently as a company commander with the 1st Cav Division in Regional Command South out of Kandahar in southern Afghanistan. So those are kind of my credentials, but I'm going to tell you guys a story from my first tour that hopefully helps you see the value of this day and what it means to me. It was 2003, and we had been in Iraq for about 3 weeks. My company had pushed south from Kuwait up across the border, and we were conducting operations in a town called Bakuba, which is about 30 or 40 miles northeast of Baghdad. It was a pretty dangerous place to be, even still today. But we were going after several different targets. The Ba'ath Party headquarters we had taken, the police headquarters, and we'd been in quite a few different fights. And we got a piece of intelligence that told us some bad guys, known as the Fedayeen, who were Saddam's worst people, had done some pretty terrible things to some civilians inside that city. And we were told that these guys were holed up in a house, a small farm compound outside of the city, and that there were about 10 to 20 of them. And we put together an operation that we were going to go get these guys. We were going to go remove the problem. So as we planned, we moved forward on the operation. When we get there, we set up our outer cordon to secure the site, and I was in the lead squad to actually go in and enter the house. Now all these soldiers, of course, were expecting to enter this house and find people who want to kill us. So our adrenaline's pumping, and we're thinking the worst, or we're being prepared for the worst, I should say, but we're doing what we have to do to get our job done. So we approach the house and we kick in the door as we always did, and we go in with our weapons at the high ready, and we start clearing this house. And we didn't find any bad guys. We found 3 or 4 women and about a dozen small kids between the ages of small toddlers to older kids about your age. And this was a normal thing to happen. When the bad guys find out you're coming, they run and they leave their families behind. But these people were obviously terrified of us. I mean, we kicked down the door and we came in with guns. And we didn't speak Arabic and they didn't speak English. And so there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety on our part These kids are obviously crying because they don't know what's going on. And their mothers want to console them, but they're of course afraid if they make a move, that we may perceive that as hostile. And so they're scared of us as well. And so in this environment, of course, we're tense, they're tense. There's a lot of fear going around. And I will never forget what happened next. It was my company commander. His name was Captain Thrash. And this man is the reason I chose to become an officer and the reason I chose to stay in the Army. He walked into that room where there was so much room for bad things to happen. So much room for people to continue to be afraid of each other and not have empathy. And he pointed to the flag on his right shoulder. And he said, "Hey gentlemen, remember what this stands for. Because right now, these folks are figuring it out." And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I thought, right now I can choose to be afraid, and I can act out of fear, or I can aspire to a higher value. And where this connects to Veterans Day is that Veterans Day is about the American people putting their arms around their veterans and aspiring to something greater, looking beyond our fears to believe in something bigger, to believe in each other, to have faith in a cause, and to say world peace is our aspiration, not war. And with those words, he took us out of that moment of fear, and he helped me see that I needed to look beyond the fear, to see them as people, to experience some empathy, to realize that these kids had a reason to fear me, and that I had an obligation to reach out and treat them with some level of respect, and to help them understand what that flag stands for and what it means. And that changed the environment for us for the rest of that deployment. That we knew we were being watched, and we knew the way we conduct ourselves as Americans mattered. And so why does that matter to you? Because that's Veterans Day in a nutshell. That's it. This is a day that's about reaffirming our commitment to world peace, right? That's what President Eisenhower said. Reaffirming our commitment to not be ruled by fear, but to be ruled by our values. So when you guys, on this day, sometimes we have a tendency as Americans to put a bumper sticker on our car and to beat the war drum and say, we support the troops because we support the war. No, that supporting the war and supporting the troops are not the same thing. You can have differences of opinion on that. That's okay. We're Americans. But take this opportunity to put your arms around veterans and to commit yourselves to those higher values. To say, thank you for what you did. And don't just think about, me, but you have a mother, a father, a cousin, an uncle, a neighbor who served. Think about them. Put your arms around them. Tell them thank you for their service. Because this is the contract between the military and the American people, right? That unspoken contract. And we affirm our values, we affirm our beliefs in something more. We affirm that we're not going to be ruled by fear. So that would be my message to you today, is to take that into your lives, not just in the context of the military, but we as Americans to not be ruled by fear, to be ruled by our values. So that's the message of Veterans Day. Thank you so much for having me here today.